You got it.
Good morning, everybody. You ready, New York?
Good morning. Yes, we are. Thank you.
I now call to order the meeting of the directors of the Erie Canal Harbor Development Corporation for Monday, June 10th, 2019. I'd like to note for the record that this meeting is being webcast. The directors have received the relevant materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. Consistent with the policy of our parent corporation, we welcome public comment on the items on the following agenda. After each item is presented and any comments are received from the directors, we will allow members of the public to provide comments. All comments should be limited to 2 minutes and should only address the item that is under consideration. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I would like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the items on today's agenda.
No.
Hearing none, we can now move on. And I would now ask Steve Rinaldi to present a request for authorization for the corporation to enter into an agreement for the loan and maintenance of public art at Canalside.
Great, thank you, Robert. I'm going to read this directly from the Albright Knox, actually, about Shark Girl. There's an undeniable charm and intrigue that surrounds Shark Girl. Countless visitors to Buffalo have sought out the life-size fiberglass girl with the head of a shark and shared innumerable photographic mementos of themselves sitting on the rock next to her. Since 2014, the general curiosity has grown into a deep civic affection for this work. Shark Girl is continually included in the list of things to see in the region and tributes to Buffalo. And in the summer of 2015, the Buffalo News listed Shark Girl as the #1 stop on their list of 100 things that every Western New Yorker should do. Welcome, Mr. Mayor. And in 2017, Huffington Post listed Shark Girl as one of the 10 great reasons to return to Buffalo. But unfortunately, Shark Girl was not created to be a permanent installation. She was actually fabricated to withstand approximately 3 months of outdoor exhibition many years ago. And the materials used and coupled with our harsh conditions and tens of thousands of many hands-on visitors have resulted in considerable wear to the sculpture. So we're looking to partner with the Albright under a new agreement to repair, restore, and reinforce Shark Girl so that she is better suited to handling visitors interacting with her, as well as to stand up to our weather conditions. It's anticipated that work would commence at the end of this summer season around Labor Day. And part of the agreement is actually to keep Shark Girl on display at Canalside for the next few years. As the owner of Shark Girl, the Albright is the only entity that can loan her to us. And in addition, they are uniquely positioned to provide the requisite expertise to repair and exhibit her. So the scope of work that we've worked out with Albright is to remove Shark Girl from Canalside at the end of the summer to repair and restore her with oversight from the original artist. They will then put her back on site and continue to do ongoing maintenance. This contract with Albright will not exceed $49,900, and the project funding source shall be the New York Power Authority relicensing agreement. With that, I'd like to ask the directors to make a determination of responsibility with respect to the proposed contract with Albright and to authorize the corporation to enter into a contract with Albright Knox for an amount not to exceed $49,900 and to take all related actions.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions or comments from any of the directors? Mr. County Executive.
As ex officio, I can't vote, of course, but certainly support this. Shark Girl was the first installment of the public art project that Erie County did in conjunction with the City of Buffalo and, of course, the Albright Art Gallery. Aaron Ott, the public art curator, is here. And if you remember when she was first put out, there was some critique in the community about how it was a waste of money, but now we realize it in some ways was one of the most important projects around because of the success of Shark Girl. You've seen tremendous outgrowth of public art across the entire community. And I think if Shark Girl was not on at Canalside, there would be a rebellion among many people in the community. So I want to thank Aaron for being here and his support, and the support from the Albright Knox Art Gallery, as well as the support of the board. Just one little project shows what the impact it can have in the long run, and this little project has had a huge impact because of the success of her. I say her, it's a piece of art, but the success of Shark Girl is a piece of art. The response from the public, it was actually had a tremendous impact with the Albright Knox Art Gallery in the long run, committing more money towards public art, and you see it with everything that's happening across our community.
Thank you. It is amazing what a young lady influence can have on a community. Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Opposed? The item's carried. Thank you. I would like to call on Steve to present the remaining items on today's agenda. And Steve, if you would start with the Buffalo Outer Harbor Preferred Plan.
Thank you, Robert. This is not an action item today, but we are here to submit to the board and to file a copy of the Buffalo Outer Harbor Preferred Plan dated June 10th. It's in your packet. It's approximately 44 pages. The preferred plan is the next step in the evolution of the Outer Harbor, built upon the 2015 blueprint, which provided for the property's current zoning and was codified by the city in the Green Code. This visionary document provides a community-driven plan for nearly 200 acres of ECHDC's property on the Buffalo waterfront, and it will be our guide as the corporation moves into the environmental review phase, into the state's general project plan, and throughout final design and construction. What began with stakeholder meetings a year ago, last June, and with open houses last July and November, and another one this past May, we had 3 online surveys. We received letters and emails, calls from interested citizens, articles, editorials, blogs, posts, a lot of written material, and it resulted in nearly 1,000 people participating in the Outer Harbor planning process. At a very high level, the preferred plan follows commitments that ECHDC made very early in this process. One, it was to adhere to Buffalo's Unified Zoning Ordinance, or Green Code. It was to protect the current number of slips and operations at the first Buffalo River Marina, to continue working with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on the reuse of Buffalo River dredge materials, and finally to build upon the success of Wilkeson Point at the north end, which has been in place for a few years, and the newly christened Lakeside Complex at the southern end of the site. At a slightly more detailed level, this preferred plan incorporates elements of 6 basic themes that the community requested. First, that our industrial heritage be recognized out there, that these open spaces be not just preserved but enhanced, with better access on the land, more access on the water, varied recreational opportunities, and comfort amenities throughout. So I would like to thank all the staff for their hard work over the last year on this process, to Trowbridge, Wolf Michaels, to Olin and Bergman Associates, all 3 consulting teams who helped develop the plan, and to the 1,000 or so people who played a part in developing the vision for the future of the Buffalo waterfront. Thank you. With that, I'd ask the Board of Directors to receive and file the Buffalo Outer Harbor Preferred Plan dated June 10, 2019.
Thank you, Steve. Before we do that, are there any questions or comments from the staff or from the board members? Well, that's interesting.
Mr. Bowles, I've heard from some of the voting community about boat storage and plans for boat storage at the marina property. Have we taken a look at that?
Yes, we've guaranteed that there'll be boat storage for those who have their slips at the marina, and we're looking at an operations plan that may allow for a little bit more, but ultimately I think we'll see a reduction in the winter or year-round boat storage that's currently out there.
Anyone else? I would like to refresh everyone's memory that it was back on September 5th, 2013, when the governor envisioned this takeover of the public land and said that we should he challenged us to deliver to the people of Western New York what they've demanded for years, a waterfront that they all can be very proud of. So Steve, on behalf of the governor and the board, and I want to commend you and the entire staff that has worked so hard to make sure that people had input, and we've delivered a product that I think we can all be very proud of. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to echo your comments and just congratulate Steve Vernally and Tom before Steve, all of the staff for their work on this. Sure. Extensive public outreach. Want to thank all of the members of the public that have come out. I want to just ask, though, about any revenue generating opportunities as part of the plan. Very pleased with the plan, very pleased with the way it's come together, but I know that revenue is always an issue, and long-term sustainability is certainly a very important consideration, and we need to be able to make money for long-term sustainability.
Sure, let me take that. Yeah. Well, as we developed the plan for the overall area, it really was broken down into 3 areas based on zoning. So at the north end, the first Buffalo River Marina, which is zoned long-term for mixed-use development in the city, we have figured out a way in the short term to run that at about a break-even process. There's a slight revenue return at the marina. And all the models we're looking at in the future will ensure that, so that that piece of property can at least be sustainable in the short term and still allow for potentially some longer term development. At the southern end, we'll talk about Terminal A in a minute, but at the southern end, again, mixed use development. Terminal A, the plans for that in this process here, again, would allow for more of an event-based revenue structure, again, with the goal of sort of the building itself in the southern end of the site where the more active spaces and recreational opportunities are. Again, we're hoping for that to be in about a break-even event program in the area. The rest of the open space in between that, the Wilkeson to Bell, we came up with a strategy that we think is best for that area, which is really, it is all open space as zoned in the city, but it's low intensity uses. It's a regenerative landscape it's not large lawns that have to be cut on a regular basis. It's intentionally to grow and only be cut seasonally, most likely twice a year. So we're going to keep the annual O&Ms down as best we can in that area.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anything else? Thank you.
All right.
Okay, can we talk about Terminal A?
Yes, we can. Again, another not up for a vote in any way, is not an action item today. But as I mentioned with the plan, about 200 acres of the outer harbor, that is almost all of ECHDC's property. That still leaves about 40 acres, including the Terminal A building. And we didn't want to just leave that alone. It's very distinct compared to the rest of the outer harbor, and that's why it was not included in the preferred planning process. But moving forward, we're looking to put together a Terminal A reuse advisory group. And the purpose of this group is to explore the range of potential options for the buildings and surrounding property at Port Terminal Building A, located at 901 Furman Boulevard. This complex, which is a few buildings actually, was constructed between 1930 and 31 by the Ford Motor Company and was ideally located along the waterfront for convenient shipping and receiving at the time. The building was designed by Albert Kahn for large-scale automobile assembly and was recently approved as a local landmark by the Buffalo Preservation Board. So we've asked this group to come together to assist ECHDC and the Board of Directors to understand the potential planning directions and provide non-binding strategic advice. Generally, we would like to meet with this group for the next 12 to 15 months on a monthly basis, and we're asking them to look to investigate options for the most appropriate and desirable uses of the property from a market perspective, Evaluate the potential for new commercial and manufacturing as an option in redevelopment, given that it was built for the old manufacturing. Evaluate the potential for residential use in this redevelopment. Evaluate the relationship between the waterfront and the central business district and Terminal A. All of these pieces go together. And to investigate options for financing and determine how funding options would support a phased rehab or redevelopment, assuming any finance package would include both public and private investment, determine what other legal structures would be required, and investigate the best means and methods to ensure the historic integrity is preserved, and finally propose a logical sequence of next steps for Terminal A, including a range or possibly a specific strategy for the next couple of years. So we want to be good stewards. This is a large, it's a 600,000 square foot building that we've owned for a few years now. We had cold storage in it for a bit, but we deemed the building to not have the proper mechanical systems in place for even that use. So it's been sitting empty now for a couple of years, and we do have to come up with a plan to move it forward. So,
Mr. Mayor.
I just want to state for the record that I would like to see a use that is job producing, revenue generating, because what is able to be sustained at break even today will be at a loss 2 years from now, 5 years from now, potentially. So I think with this opportunity, we have to be very focused on something, a reuse at this site, while protecting the historic integrity that is revenue generating in my estimation.
Sounds like he's volunteering for the committee.
a few of his staff members have been invited, so definitely.
Thank you.
I have Mr. Poloncarz.
I'm not volunteering for the committee. I've got a lot to do, but I was wondering who is on the committee or who is expected to be on the committee based on the timeline and as well as work that is expected to be performed.
We'd like it to be both public and private interests. We have asked Mike Vogel to chair that, and I believe he's going to do that. We'll have staff on it, both architects, both Christine Kemmis and Mark Wendell here. We have reached out to the city and the county for planning department staff, as well as to the University of Buffalo. Some Preservation Buffalo Niagara has been reached out to, as well as some in the Department of Urban and Regional Planning at UB with a background in preservation. Business development from Bud Seed to Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus folks, as well as some private developers, as well as design and environmental and folks that work with legal and brownfield tax credits. So we're trying to get a mix of people here in the community that are used to doing these kind of developments and understand the partnerships, so we understand the full range of what's available to us.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the site is located in an opportunity zone, federal opportunity zone?
I believe that is correct.
Can we just get confirmation on that, as well as
absolutely.
when the final group is, or the first meeting is scheduled, who's actually been added to the group?
Okay.
Thank you.
All set?
Yep.
Shatora.
I believe that Terminal A is an incredible opportunity for our community. There's endless potential that could come out of this project. So really excited to see what this group is going to come up with. I also think this is an incredible opportunity for us to look at this project through an equity lens. And so I really strongly encourage this body to, whatever ideas come up, make sure that they're evaluated through an equity and inclusion sustainability model, and that we are being very thoughtful about our entire community when it comes to whatever the use of Terminal A might be. And if you need any help or direction with that, I volunteer myself.
Oh, there we go. One volunteer. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's starting to fill up quickly. Mr. County Executive,
That's why Commissioner Hersey is here.
Anything else? Mike, you didn't want to comment at all?
No, I think it's I will comment. It's an excellent opportunity. It's a very historic building, basically just a shed. And we have a very wide, open span space. It's a very challenging structure because of the way it was designed, the purpose it served at the time. But I do think we need to preserve that as a historic structure on the Outer Harbor. We've lost most of that infrastructure through time. I don't think we can afford to lose more. But I think we're looking at a really expensive project and a very complex and challenging project. And we have to take a very hard, realistic look at this. And that's what we will try to do.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved, seconded, we are adjourned. Thank you for attending, everybody.
Thank you.